Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/entitled people. In today's episode, don't date women with kids, took an incel to lunch today. You should be thanking me for throwing up next to you. Entitled Library Patron. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Don't date women with kids, took an incel to lunch today. I'm a 35-year-old man, and today I did a favor for my wife, who is the concierge manager at a Niagara Falls hotel. Her friend's brother is moving to my city, and my wife helped him secure a job at the hotel where she works. You asked me to take him out to lunch and show him around the city because he's super socially awkward and has no friends here. He's 25 years old. For the sake of this post, I'll call him Cletus. I picked up Cletus, and socially awkward doesn't even begin to describe how socially inept he is. He's a bit rude and crude, and I don't particularly like him. However, I remained polite. I had promised to take him out, so I did. We embarked on a city tour, visiting places like the Ripley's Museum and an arcade, and then we had lunch at a small diner. While we were seated near the door, eating our meal and awkwardly conversing, a woman entered the restaurant, pushing a stroller, and she was alone. It was as if a switch flipped in Cletus's head because his demeanor drastically changed. He went from being merely awkward to openly disgusted and angry. That's when his true nature emerged. I asked Cletus what was wrong, and he answered by saying, "That's disgusting." I inquired, "What's disgusting?" He replied, "Her, right there." I looked at him, puzzled, and asked, "What's wrong with the mom pushing her kid?" He said, "Oh, she's ruined." I didn't understand, so I responded, "Eh?" He literally said, "She is. She parties too much and opens her legs for everyone. Now she has to face the consequences, and he feels sorry for the kid." I remained utterly confused, so I had to ask, "What do you mean?" because I genuinely couldn't comprehend his perspective at that point. He said, "It's because women like to open their legs left and right. Good guys like himself can't find a woman because they're all easy. They all have kids. He would never consider dating a woman with kids because they're all used up." He also claimed that single mothers raise kids to be prostitutes or criminals and that they can't do it without a man. He believed that kids needed a proper man in their lives to grow up as effective adults. I sat there, shocked, and managed to say, "Oh, wow." I asked Cletus, "Are you sure you're all right? Seriously, you see a woman walking with her kid to a restaurant at 12:30 in the afternoon, and you instantly think single mother, you know nothing about her. She's in a restaurant. She's busy. She's hungry. But you see her by herself pushing a stroller, and you just think she's easy." I pointed out, even in your argument, you made points on why you should date a woman with kids for the kid's sake. You said the kid needs a man in their life or they're going to be a criminal. So why not be that guy? Why not step up to the plate? Why not meet a good woman and be a dad to those kids? For society, so they don't grow up to be criminals because you're such a good guy. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. The woman had been seated by this time, just a short distance from us. A really good-looking man walked into the restaurant, scanned the area, spotted her, walked over, gave her a kiss on the cheek, and sat down. It turned out to be her husband. I was utterly disgusted with Cletus at this point, and I had other plans to show him the city that day. I told him, "Hey, man, I'm going to pay for the food, and we're getting out of here. I'm taking you home." On the drive back, when we got in front of his apartment, I said, "Cletus, I've got something to say to you before you go. You've got to fix your attitude. You've got to change your way of thinking towards people. If you keep this up, you're going to be a very sad and lonely man. Women can tell when you're just a bad person, the kind of person you are can be seen without words. When I met you, when you first got in my car, I knew something was off. I didn't know exactly what, but I could tell. You really need to work on that, or you'll never be happy. That was it. He got out and went inside. Later that day, when you got home, I told her everything, and I made it clear that I wouldn't be taking him out again and couldn't be friends with this guy. Edit, just need to say thank you to my wife you. I typed this out, but she was kind enough to edit it for me so it was not a hot mess of run-on sentences and poor grammar and punctuation. Edit, holy shit, you're not going to believe this. He just saw this post his sister just called my wife because he called her crying. I don't even use his real name. Glad you spoke up. I bet he exists in an echo chamber of that garbage. What a douche canoe. You handled that beautifully. Serial killer. I called it. Good for you for telling your wife about that guy and that you won't be his friend. His sounds disgusting. Single moms raise prostitutes and criminals? I'll have to have a chat with my son and daughter then, they've been slacking for 39 and 23 years. You should be thanking me for throwing up next to you. My wife, 30F, and I, 30M, visited our alma mater for the first day of football this weekend. It's a SEC school, so it's a big deal, and we love being close enough to visit whenever we want. We also have a friend, 30M, who is doing his residency in the same town as the school. Anyway, we watched the game at a bar instead of getting tickets. Everything was totally chill until the three of us got a table on the rooftop area of the bar. There was a large group of students, about 15 guys and girls, sitting under the projector screen we were watching and kept looking back at us like we spit in their drinks because the three of us got the table and they didn't. Sorry kids, you snooze you lose, we weren't giving up our prime spot. After a while a couple of the guys have had too much to drink and start spitting and throwing up in the trash can right behind my wife. I'm talking if she leaned back in her chair, it would be touching this trash can. After a few minutes of the bouncers not doing anything, I turn around and ask if they can throw up literally anywhere else, a different trash can, the bathroom or, just stop throwing up. Not a crazy request, or so I thought. Bear in mind that I went to school there, was in a fraternity, partied hard and had a good time, so I'm intimately familiar with the lifestyle. I also had respect for the people around me and asked the same of others. After some words were exchanged, things stated to escalate, and this kid has the gall to say me, my wife and friend, should be thankful that he is throwing up in that trash can because he could just vomit on the floor instead. At this point we're pissed and my buddy and I stand up to talk to him. I'm 5 feet 10 inches and this kid is several inches shorter than me, so, while he's not intimidating, I have a lot more to lose than he does. He also has this entire group of people that, for some reason, think he is in the right. When we stand up, the bouncers finally notice the commotion and, after some struggle that just make it worse for him, unceremoniously pick up this kid around the waist and walk out of the bar. About 5 minutes later, his buddy comes up and starts yelling at us that it's a college bar, what don't you expect, and we're too old to be there and whatever. The bouncers check him and he goes away. End of story, right? LOL, nah. The rest of his group is giving us the stink eye, including on girl who just has it out for my wife, who at this point my wife has not said a word other than asking what is wrong with these kids. Well, the girl's nasty attitude and comments get the attention of the remaining bouncers, so when they tell her to stop or leave. We watch this girl slap the bouncer and bolt for the stairs, but she doesn't make it far. So now this entire group of college kids, girls included, get into a little brawl with the bouncers and they all get kicked out in a very public way. We just wanted to watch football and enjoy the evening, but that was too much to ask of these kids. So, that is how I got one guy who couldn't hold his liquor and his entire group of friends kicked out of Skybar. Still a very fun weekend and a great win for the Tigers. War Eagle. Ha. I would go to the next few games and sit at that table, just in case they show up again. Seriously, college town or not, a bouncer should be kicking out anyone puking. I just looked at their not so good Yelp reviews, yikes, at the first photo. It's the kind of place you love or hate. I have many fond memories from during and immediately after my college years. For better or worse, Yelp reviews won't do it justice. These kids nowadays can't hold their liquor or handle getting kicked out of a bar. Lightweights. Entitled Library Patron. I work within the library system. We have a hotline that spans all libraries in the city. Some people love it, some hate it, but it is what it is. We were coming off Christmas and New Year's. The library had been closed for Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day. I was 20 weeks pregnant and not well rested, so I was actually looking forward to sitting at a desk for my shift. I get my area set up, my programs running, and my headset set up. The first hour or two was pretty standard, calls about if we were open, books needing to be extended, ordering books, etc. Then I get a call from Karen. She said she handed a book in and wanted to know if it was off her account. I asked for her library card number, but she didn't have it, so I had to look up her name and confirm details, which she was quite impatient about. Finally, I checked the book she has out and confirmed the book was still on her account. She then starts going off on a rant about how whenever she goes into so-and-so library, staff are always standing around talking and no one is checking in books. I tell her front staff does not handle checking in books. She commented that the main library always checks books in within a day. I told her that library has double the staff of any other library, and we are currently behind as it was the holidays and a lot of people were on break. She then makes the comment that the library should not be closed so many days. I reminded her we were closed a total of 3 days over 2 weeks, and many businesses are closed much longer. She then says she will make a complaint, and I informed her she is welcome to do so through our website, but we will not be changing our holiday closures. She hung up, and I waited a few seconds before muttering some choice words. I have a pro tip when you get someone like that on the phone. Right in the middle of your own sentence, hang up. No one ever thinks you will hang up while you are talking, so if you get called out on it, we were cut off seems very plausible. I would do that, but people call back, and I don't want to make them someone else's headache, especially when they are even more irritated. You know how libraries will sometimes waive a fine or two sometimes? Flag her account to never ever give her a break. Thank you for working at your library. And sorry about having to deal with this boorish woman. In my opinion, the public library and bicycles are perhaps two of the best of human inventions. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.